So we're going to do a little math tutorial on fractions and how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Now, you may come across some of these problems when you take your math assessment, but I'm going to show you how to easily get through these problems. And again, you can use a calculator, so just write this down, write some examples down, and then the only thing you have to do is match the problems up, and then you should be able to solve the problems. Now, let's remember we always have a numerator and a denominator. Numerator is on top, denominator is on the bottom. So let's get to the simple ones, which is multiplication. Multiplication is easy. Now you remember we can express multiplication in one of three ways. We can use the times, so we can say 3 times 1 is the same as, you may see it as 3.1, or you could see it as 3 parentheses 1. It all means the same way, three ways of expressing how you're supposed to multiply two numbers. Times, dot, or parentheses, it's all the same. 3 times 1 is 3. So when you're faced with multiplication, it's real simple. We're just going to multiply the numerators and the denominators. So we're going to multiply this way. Just write this down. Now remember, again, three ways of expressing. You may see a times, the parentheses, or the dot. It's all the same. So you see multiplication, just multiply across. The 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. We're done. When you see division, the simplest thing to do, if you see a problem in this format, simplest thing to do is to take the division and change it to multiplication. Well, how do you do that? Well, you just swap the numbers around. And put the 2 on the top, the 1 on the bottom. I can change this to multiplication, and then again I can just multiply across. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. Now, when you see a whole number in a fraction, the first thing you want to do is, remember, this is easy to do, right? So if we get this type of problem in this format, then we already know how to do division in this format. We just have to change this to this format. So how do we do that? Here's the rule. You take the whole number and you multiply it by the denominator on the bottom. So 1 times 3 is 3. And then you add, so we multiply, and then we add 2 steps. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. And then we get the result and we change this to the result. So now we can change this to a 4. We keep the 3 on the bottom, we can get rid of the 1. You see how that works? We take 2, we go do the multiplication here. 2 times 5 is 10, and then we add the 10 to the top. 10 plus 3 is 13. Now we can put the result here. So 3 steps. Do the multiplication, then we do the addition. The number that we get, we add to the top. We keep the denominator the same, and then we can cross out the 3. You see, and then we get, a fraction. And now how do we do the fraction? We will Remember, we changed division to multiplication by swapping the numbers. So we bring the 5 on the top and the 13 on the bottom. And now we're just multiplying 4 times 5 is 20. 13 times 3 is 39. Let's go about this again. 1 4/3 times 2 3/5. We multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. And then we add. Right? We multiply and then we add. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7, right? Then we can put the result here. We're always going to keep the denominator and then we can cross this out. Remember, we're just trying to get into a different format. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. Put the new number here. And then, now if this was, now let's suppose if this was just multiplication, then we know how to multiply. We just multiply it across, right? So the answer is, 7 times 13, whatever that is, and 3 times 5 is 15, right? But if it was division, let's say 1 7/3 divided by 2 3/4. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 plus 7 is 10. Cross out the 1. You see the pattern? 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. You see the pattern? Now, because it's division, how do we change to multiplication? We just swap numerator and denominator. So now I can put 4 on top, 11 on the bottom, changes to multiplication. And then we can always multiply across. And when we have multiplication, we just multiply across. So we get 40 over 33. So, there's a pattern. There's a pattern. So recognize the pattern. So if we were to write this in the steps, right? So we know to multiply two fractions is we go across, right? We just multiply the numbers across. Simple. Now, if we see division, what's the pattern? Well, we want to change division to multiplication, so we take the 1, we just swap numerator and denominator, right? That's the pattern. We change this to multiplication, and then we can multiply across. You see the pattern that we're getting? And what's the other pattern? If you have, and you need to multiply or divide, we already know there are two patterns, right? If you need to change this, to, just numerator and denominator, the pattern is we multiply, and whatever answer we get, then we do the addition. That's the pattern. Multiply and addition, and then we keep the numerator. Multiply, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. And we keep the bottom denominator, and we can cross it out. I'll do it one more time. 2 1/2 multiply, 4 add 5, keep the denominator. Simple. There you go.